So if you were told you needed to go to HR, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably nothing good, like, oh no, did I offend somebody? Did I send an email that was wrong, or said something wrong, or acted some way in a meeting that I shouldn't have? So it's unfortunate that HR gets such a bad rap, because HR is about human resources. So I'm going to tell you a good human resources story. I was at a site recently, and I was talking with HR, and she said, I want to tell you a story about something that happened at my site. And what made me think of this is I'm actually sitting on a bench right now, just kind of taking a break here before I go back to my room. And this bench reminded me of the story that she told me. She said, we had a well-intentioned senior leader walking through our site. As he walks through the site, he points things out like, that shouldn't be stacked there, should it? Or that looks like it might be a safety problem. Well, what he doesn't realize is every time he points and says, isn't that a problem? He just put another project in motion for people that are already overloaded trying to run his factory for him. But he meant well, totally meant well. Well, it turns out he was walking through this facility, this shop. As he walked outside, he noticed a smoking area. And so inside the building, there's smoke-free, tobacco-free area, but they have smoking area outside. And he noticed a homemade bench. And without really thinking or asking any questions, he just said, that bench doesn't look safe. It was a board on top of 4 concrete blocks. And so then off he went. And he would be willing to buy them a new bench. It wasn't about that. But he didn't really ask anything about it. He just said, that bench looks unsafe. And so next morning, HR was walking through the area, and she noticed everybody was pretty upset. And she's like, what's going on? And they said, you didn't hear? Yeah, the general manager told us to get rid of the bench. She said, what bench? They said, the bench in the smoking area. They had a name for it. Actually, it was kind of etched in it. It said Tall Tales. And what was interesting about that is that had significant meaning to them. See, years ago, a guy that worked there said, those guys out there smoking and telling tall tales. And so he took a big board and he carved in it the words Tall Tales. And that was the kind of the Tall Tales bench that was out in the smoking area, and it had become an icon. The gentleman that had made it had long since retired, but it was there, and it still meant something to the people there. It was a really kind of well, like I said, it was part of the fixture of the place. So without meaning to cause any harm, a well-meaning high-level manager said that looks unsafe, so they got rid of it. Well, it's the law of unintended consequences, right? He didn't mean for anything bad to happen, but actually what he had done he damaged the culture of that site. You don't care about us if you tell us to throw away our bench that we've had for 20 years. And so the HR manager went dumpster diving. She went all over that place till she found it. She found the board. It had not been hauled off, thank goodness. And she took it to the machine shop, and she said, guys, I want you to build a frame for this thing, make it sturdy, make it strong, put the company logo on it, make it look good, but leave the wooden bench part that says Tall Tales etched in it, or actually it was routed in it pretty deep, so that's visible and easy to see. And within probably a few days, actually, just in their spare time, they got this built and painted it. It looked great. It was sturdy, it was safe, and they put it back in place. Now, she said it was like an old friend had returned. The spirits were lifted. People realized, they do care about us. It was done with the right intentions, but it actually had unintended consequences. So I thought I would share that little hop story with you for just to take a minute or so to review. Sometimes when we go out and make decisions, or we go out and give guidance, if we don't take a moment to ask some good questions, we could totally do something damaging and not even realize we've done it. And most likely he would have bought them a brand new bench. They didn't want a brand new bench. They wanted the Tall Tales bench that had been there for 20 years. That was something that meant something to them, because people at work, there's a social aspect of work that matters. And we should be cognizant of that. We should be sort of respectful of that. And if we don't know, we should probably ask before we just say, hey, let's get rid of that. Let's do away with that before we really know what the deal is, or what sort of unintended consequences that may have.